Hey there, welcome to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. This is Studio Visitor, the place where we talk about gear, philosophy and history. For this episode I traveled to Frankfurt, Germany, and I met Stefan of Red Light Recording. Stefan has been a mixing engineer for Herbie Hancock, Frank Farian and many others. He has a great story to tell. So this is yet another day, another story to tell. Let's make it happen. Hi there, welcome to the channel. We're here at Red Light Recording Studios in Frankfurt, Germany. Stefan.
Hi.
Tell me, how do you get to start your own studio?
Yeah, long story. Long story short, I started as a roadie when I was 14, 15, something like that. And I did that for 2 or 3 years beside the school and made some money, and later on I was invited into a studio because of the work. And then I started as a tape operator. Classical way.
Cutting tape or?
Yeah, tape, or you may say the T-boy.
Yeah, T-boy.
Yeah, that's the classical way. And I started working at the Europa Sound Studios in Friedrichsdorf, and I had the pleasure to meet Frank Farian.
Really?
Yes, I did. And I had I was so lucky to work a few months and have a look on his techniques.
The guy has really amazing production skills.
Yes. And he taught me to listen.
Yeah.
Listen carefully, and that's the thing.
If you listen carefully, but what was the most valuable part of that lesson by Frank Farian?
Listen to tuning and tightness.
Or those more recording skills than engineering skills?
The most important thing that I learned from him was he did not use the regular studio musicians that we had over there. He just brought the best ones in there. Yeah, he flew them in and he paid the hotel and he paid the taxi and anything. But these guys, they were completely different level.
I know.
The moment they came in the studio and they started, they made a little bit to play, to warm up. I could have recorded that and have released it. That was marvelous.
I got some friends that do the same. They're session musicians, and one of those guys, his name is Pablo Minoli, and he never played Michael Jackson before, and the guys wanted to play Michael Jackson with him. And they literally only told him like, boom, 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 boom. That's how it's supposed to be played. He got on stage, bang. That's it. It's a completely different level, what you say.
Nowadays we have so many guys who call themselves producers. I think
too many.
I met producers.
I know.
And as you told about Michael Jackson, we know Quincy Jones. He's a producer.
Yeah.
He's or George Martin. He's a producer.
Dr. Dre.
Yeah. These guys, they know how to write music. They know to tell the musicians what to play, in which manner, and so this is something completely different.
But throughout the years, we're talking about 70s until now.
Yes.
So many things have changed.
Yes, completely.
Because of the introduction of computer and the availability of software like plugins.
We can do things today that we couldn't in the earlier times.
No.
With tape it was nearly impossible. Today we have the non-destructive ways. We can try and go steps back and go step back and undo and undo and undo.
Another take, another take.
We have done that in the studio with tape. We cut the tape and later on taped it again together because we made a mistake.
I know.
But this was really hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You needed to be precise as well.
Yes, exactly. I remember one of my very best teachers was a guy from the Frankfurt Old Opera, and he said to me, cut there on the 5th, 8th of this concert in the, I don't know any longer, the 122nd bar or something like that. And you know how to cut with the wheels, with the so you then go and cut on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th, exactly between the 5th and the 6th. I was going, whoop, how can I do this? And he showed me, and so I learned how to cut exactly on the points.
That technique, does it still help you nowadays?
Yes, sure it is, yes. I used to work in the mastering, what was called pre-mastering in the 90s, when they started to put all the catalog on CD. Then we had all to remaster all the old masters so that they could be released on CD from the analog world.
Yeah.
And in that time I had to cut very, very often. But nowadays you can send a master in with a CD-ROM or with a DAT or something else.
USB stick?
Yeah.
WeTransfer.com.
But at that time in the 90s, U-matic in 1630 PCM was the standard to make a CD. And that was what we did, and the editing was done digitally.
You think it's more precise with a jog shell or the reels?
It does not depend on the mechanical thing. It depends on the resolution that you have.
Yeah.
If you have a tape with 19 inches per second or 38 inches per second or 72 inches, or if you have the today we have the 44.1 or 48 kilohertz or 96, that's the resolution.
Yeah.
In the tape world, you have 1 second in 38 inches. This is a piece of tape like that for 1 second of musical information, you may say. And it's the same today. You have 1 second in 44.1 thousand slices, samples. And if you have 48,000, it's a little bit more samples.
From tape operator to engineer, how did that happen?
Took a while, and I worked in several studios, and I always did live performances during the time, again and again and again. I feel gifted that I could work with so many great musicians, especially in live performances. I made concert with Modern Jazz Quartet. We made a concert with Herbie Hancock and Chick Corea with piano, four hands. That was incredible. Absolutely incredible. They had a technician on their own along with them, and he told me what he thought about microphones for piano and microphone techniques for piano. In this case it was on the stage, but it even helps in the studio.
Yeah, sure.
Microphone technique in the end is the key.
For a good recording it definitely is.
I was not into beat production. That was not my thing.
No.
And that's why nowadays it's called the Red Light Recording Studio, because we do recording.
Yeah.
In the first place. And although I own a lot of plugins and I use the plugins, I still believe the key is in the good recording. And a good recording starts with the studio itself. It starts with the cables, with the plugs, and with the soldering and things like that. I remember the first studio I did on my own, I built on my own, that was in 85. I bought a console.
You know what console?
Yes, I know. It was a sound workshop that it no longer exists. But the engineers, they later on worked for SSL.
Really?
Yes, there was a marvelous console with very, very fine EQ. That what you, nowadays they call the classical British EQ.
The board you had was the predecessor of the British EQ?
No, not really. It was from these. It was from the. It was from British electronic manufacturers from that time, from the 70s, and they all worked more or less the same. With this console came a manual, and in the manual there was a big chapter about setting up the studio. There was the regular things like you have to provide a star earth. You know what the star earth is?
I know.
That's a thing that is common and it's necessary in the studio
Really
to have a
necessary.
star crowned earth. And there was one sentence that I still remember. There was written where you have to have your focus on to check that you have no faults in the cables, no mistakes between phases, and no plugs that are corroded or something like that. And that in the end you have, as a technician or as a producer, you have to have the signal chain from the microphone through all the equipment up to the speakers.
Has to be a clean path.
Yes, and to have it in the back of your mind where your signal is running through, and to be prepared for the once-in-a-lifetime recording. We all know the moment the musician plays it and you were not fast enough to push the recording button,
So many moments.
and he never played it like that.
No.
So this was the once-in-a-lifetime moment. So the thing in the studio is to be prepared for the once-in-a-lifetime recording, for the performance. And in the end, this is, to me, it's about performance. And it's about achieving an atmosphere where someone can feel comfortable and release himself or herself, and to get there, to get his spirit into his instruments or his voice.
Yeah. I once got the joy of engineering Marcus Miller live, and I was like sunk into the music. I was typically the same experience as you described. It was, I even forgot I was in the room. I know I touched the dials and the buttons and the sliders, but
it doesn't play a big role.
No.
When I had the pleasure to work with the modern jazz quartet, before the sound check, or we talked about what to do and who has which place on the stage and anything like that. And I asked them what kind of microphones they preferred, and they said it doesn't care. Do what you think. Do what you think. And I said, okay, good. So I do that what I think is best, and I did. But I understood later it doesn't matter, because they, as musicians, they made their sound themselves with their instruments.
Yeah.
And there was a moment when I understood big. I understood that the sound is created by the musician and not by the engineer at the desk.
Partially.
Yes, what we know of sound nowadays with the compressors and with the effects and reverb and echo and anything like that, this is sound production, sure.
Yeah.
This is what is created by the engineer. But the sound of the instrument itself, the timbre and the warmth or the expression and these things, they are created by the musician. And the best bands that I had the pleasure to record, they made their sound by themselves because they were so good on their own instruments that they were able to play their part while listening to the others. They were not only concentrated on their own playing, but they were concentrated on the others, on playing together and being louder or lower to give the other one space or be prominent in front and like that. And you have the conversation between the musicians. And this is one thing for the engineer to capture that, and to it is easy to make that one louder and this one lower and like that, but to capture this performance, what they are doing by themselves, and in live performance it is to reproduce it on, as you would say, reinforcement, like a PA system, reinforce it for the public. And in the recording, it's a decision for the producer if you want to achieve authenticism, what is actually played, like in classical music, or if you want to create a specific sound, then it's something different. Then you have a goal and you want to achieve that specific sound. Where do you have come? But that normally this is something that you discuss with the musicians before you start the recording.
As an engineer, I see myself for live and studio always as some sort of translator. I translate the work of art
in the best
into the best proportions, into the ears of the consumer.
If it works that way, then it's great.
Yeah.
But very often it's something different.
It's always different.
In fact it is always different. But very often it's not about the music. Very often it's about studio psychology. It's about how good one feels, what expectation one has the moment he steps in the studio.
In one of my previous episodes, Patrick of Tidalwave Studios, he was talking about, people don't want to come into my studio because it was too cozy. They'd rather be on a concrete block with nothing and some heavy lights in their faces.
Maybe some punks or some new wave musicians, they need that kind of atmosphere. I don't know that. I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
You're addicted to recording stuff and creating stuff.
Yes, Yes, I even do mixes. Sure, I do. I have a studio, I do mixes. But this is not it's not my favorite passion.
No?
I would say.
To me, it is mixing.
I believe so. There is a lot of guys who are into mixing, and I do it, and I even like mixing. And sometimes I mix 1, 2, 3 days, or maybe a week long on one song.
If you mix a song, how many versions do you make before the end result is chosen?
This is different, and it's directly dependent on the quality of the recording. If the recording is top level, then you do not need so very much time to mix it. In the end, we all cook with water, we say in Germany. We all cook with water. We all use compression, we all use EQ, we all use reverb, we all use echo, and we use some pitch shift or whatever.
Limiting on the master bus.
Well, nowadays we have, 200 or 300 different compressor plugins, yes?
As soon as I bought the UC1 by SSL, I slimmed down my plugin list with, I think, 80%, 85%.
It takes a little bit of time, let's say 1 or 2 years, then you know, I like that plugin, and I like that plugin, and I like that because this does that, and this one does that, and I want that.
Yeah, but the time spirit where we live in now is like, I come in to record, when I leave,
it must be finished.
It must be finished.
Completely
finished.
Yes.
But that doesn't work.
Yeah, that doesn't work, and it's the it's the completely wrong attitude to go into the studio. You can say, okay, I'd like to go in the studio and record, and everything must be fantastic. Then you have to come before and tell the technician what you exactly want. This is the first thing. Most of the clients cannot express what they really want.
It's all about communication.
Yeah, it's all about communication. And they, if I ask them, yeah, okay, bring along a CD that you like, or which sound you would like for yourself, for your own recording. Then they come along and they bring you a CD from Metallica. I say, okay, this is a very marvelous sound. But can you imagine how many time is gone into this CD and how many hours did they spend in the studio that cost 3 times or 4 times the hourly fee that I charge you? Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
No, they know not. So the expectation is much too high for what they are, what they can afford to pay.
Yeah.
And this is a problem, because the next moment they say the studio is shit and it's bullshit, I never go there, because they cannot achieve that. Later on they go in another studio and they realize the same, and after the 3rd or 4th studio they realize that there is something different that they have to do. But this is the situation very often.
Yeah. But
nowadays I have my clients, they come to me for a longer time. They come here because they want to come here and they know why they are coming here.
do you take clients that never have been in the studio, or?
Yes, I do, but it depends what they want. And I tell them, okay, it depends on what kind of vision they have, what they want, where they want to go to, where they want to land in the end, where's their target, their goal. And if I have the impression to myself that I can achieve that goal in here, in my studio, then maybe I say I would do that. But very often I see that maybe my room is too small to create such a sound that they have in mind where they go to. Then I tell them, okay, I'm sorry, you have to find another studio. Have a look at a studio with a very big recording room, yeah, where you can get a specific sound and where you can do these things that you would like to do.
Talking about gear,
Yeah.
does gear make a big difference?
Yes, indeed. Indeed it does.
Pure analog, pure digital, or hybrid?
Oh, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. The thing is, the chain. The chain must be one level.
Like we talked before.
Yes.
One clean path.
The cheapest or the minor part in a chain defines the end quality.
True that.
So the chain is the thing that is important. After the microphone preamp normally comes the analog digital converters who convert into the digital domain. If you have bad converters, then you have a bad recording.
True that.
And this is extremely pity. It's extremely sad if you have a very good microphone and a very good preamplifier and then you have a bad converter. This is sad. So you need to have one level of quality. You may even make a very good recording with a cheap microphone. I always say there is no bad microphone, and there might be a wrong microphone because it's the wrong microphone for the task.
The characteristic,
yes,
is not suitable.
Yes, it depends on what you would like to record. It's something different if you would like to record a marimbaphone or a vibraphone. You need to use a dynamic microphone and not a condenser. Most of the time the people say
Because
condenser
of all the
is,
resonances.
yes, it's just too much pronounced, and it's very hard. It will be very, very hard if you, it's with the vibraphone,
because of
because
tone.
goes into your ear and it's so harsh and sharp, and the dynamic is capable of grabbing this sound and forming it a little bit rounder and warmer. And if you use the condenser, you get all the sharpness, all the overtones, and all the build-up of the comp filter effects and all these things that happen during recording.
And
Yes.
once a bad recording
Yes.
remains.
So,
a bad
but this
recording.
is experience in the end. The discussion of analog and digital. Well, today I do not use analog recording because it doesn't make sense no more. We have the computers, we have non-destructive editing. This is something fantastic, as we told in the beginning.
I had a cheap converter, and I recently switched it for a Lynx Aurora.
And yeah. So what?
The funny thing about this is I bought an SSL Fusion processor and I sent it back because I didn't like the sound. But it was sent into a bad converter.
Oh, yes.
I think with the converter I have now,
Yeah,
I
now
would
you
have-
can hear the difference.
would have kept the unit.
Yeah. This is a phenomenon that I see today, where everybody uses saturation plugins. Everyone uses saturation.
After 30 years of
Yes,
digital audio,
yes,
we
yes,
know this.
yes.
We miss saturation, and clocking is a big thing.
Clogging is a big thing. That's true. But saturation, in the beginning, when I started recording and when I learned recording, the one thing was proper level. Definitely not too much. We wanted to have a recording that is not distorted.
Yeah,
You want it?
recording not distorted, but you can always distort afterwards.
You can always distort afterwards. But in the beginning, when we recorded, we did not want it to have distortion.
I can imagine.
Let's say you have a singer, a female singer, with a very clear voice, like a bell. Then you record and you overload the input, you get a little bit of saturation. This is definitely not nice. It does not sound good. It is something different if you have a growler from a metal band who wants to sound like that. Then you need to have some
we talk about that?
Yeah, then you need some red lights.
Yeah.
Then you have to have the peak lights go flashing all the time. Crack, crack. Then you get this crack, crack, crack. Today the industry tells you need saturation plugins. You need this kind of saturation and that kind of saturation. And this is like tube, and this is like transistors, and
It's still like tube. It's not actually tube. And
Yes.
to me there is the difference.
Yeah, no, sure is there a difference, but you have to know when do I need what, and when do I use what,
Yeah.
and
I use compression out of the box as saturation.
that you can do. As I told you in the beginning, very often I use the tube compressor just because of the tube,
Yeah.
because this is some kind of distortion or saturation that comes along.
Saturation is a mild, really mild form of distortion, but still mild.
Yeah, but with a tube you get the corners rounded,
Yeah.
because a tube is not fast enough to
No.
make such a signal. That's all. A transistor can do that.
Fat compression
Yes,
is the
yeah.
tube compression.
Yes,
is not.
yeah, like that. And this is but it took me maybe 15 years to hear differences like that.
Yeah.
Maybe more, maybe 20. It almost took me 10 years to hear compression.
Is there anything left to say to the viewers, giving a message, or is there anything you would like to say
Make music.
Make music.
Make music.
That's a good one. That's a good closing thought. I want to thank you for watching this episode.
Welcome.
Thank you for your hospitality. It was a great chat. I'll see you up in the next one. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.